You're listening to
Catholic Sprouts,
the daily podcast for Catholic kids that strives to plant seeds of faith. Well, hey there, Sprouts. Today is Friday, December 23rd, 2020. This week on the Catholic Sprouts podcast, we have been talking about St. John the Baptist, Jesus' cousin who prepared the way for Jesus' public ministry. We've already talked about John the Baptist's birth story and the song his father sang when he was born. We've talked about the Sadducees and the Pharisees, who were two different groups of elite Jews, both of whom Jesus condemned. And now today, we are going to talk about the message that St. John the Baptist preached while he was out in the desert. And remember, he was out there preaching and baptizing for probably quite a while before Jesus appeared and was also baptized. So what was the message that John the Baptist was bringing that would really prepare the hearts of people to receive Jesus? Well, I'm going to teach you a big word today. That big word is this: metanoia. Metanoia. That is what John the Baptist was preaching. So metanoia means an interior change. It almost means that inside part of you, that part of you that is really you, that it changes direction. It almost turns around and heads into a different direction. It's a complete interior conversion. Now, maybe you think, well, yeah, we're always called to conversion. But at the time when John the Baptist was preaching, this was a radical idea. The Jews, the religion that they practiced, if they wanted to be forgiven from their sins, they had to partake in a specific ritual. Oftentimes, this meant that they had to travel to Jerusalem. When they were there, they had to buy a specific animal, hand it to a priest that was part of this Levite tribe, that he would take it into the innermost part of the temple where ordinary people weren't allowed to go, and that he would sacrifice that animal. And the blood of that animal would then wash clean their sins. Oftentimes also, if a person sinned through taking money or possessions that didn't belong to them, then they had to also repay what they had taken, but also donate 1/5 of that cost on top of it. So if they took $100, then they would have to give back the $100, but then also $20 more to repay all the damage that they had done. So it was all very ritual. A person didn't have to sit and reflect about how they could get right with God. They simply fulfilled the ritual that was spelled out for them. Now, the hard thing is that because of all of these rituals, there were certain people that were simply beyond forgiveness. The things that they had done were unforgivable because there was either no ritual that could ever clean them of their sins, or the obligations they had to fulfill were just impossible. One of these people were tax collectors. Remember, tax collectors weren't paid by Rome. They had to simply gather more money than taxes that were due, and that was their income. So the Jews saw tax collectors as thieves. Every single dollar that they had to pay for their lifestyle, they saw that as stolen money. So if a tax collector wanted to convert and get right with God, they'd have to pay back everything they had plus 1/5. So they could never do it. That's why the Pharisees are so hard on the tax collectors. They're sinners absolutely beyond the forgiveness of God. But John the Baptist, the reason why what he's saying out there in the desert and by the river is so radical is because he is accepting everyone. He's not demanding these really prescriptive rituals about going to Jerusalem and buying an animal and having it sacrificed. Instead, he's talking about a deep conversion, doing the hard work of really getting right with God and turning your habits and your sins around. That's hard. But he's saying this this forgiveness, this mercy is for everyone. Everyone. Even if you can't pay all the money back. Even if you're a certain person that's never going to be accepted by the Pharisees or the Sadducees, it's for everyone. Now, Pharisees and Sadducees came from Jerusalem to visit John. I mean, he was a very popular guy, and the Jews were always looking for another prophet. But they were really disgusted and turned away by what John the Baptist was preaching. Why? Because it destroyed everything that they stood upon. The Pharisees loved rituals because it made them look good. The Sadducees loved rituals because it kept them in power. And so they did not like what John the Baptist was preaching. However, we know that this is a fundamental piece of Christianity, that mercy is for everyone, and that we constantly need to be examining the motives of our heart and to be desiring that metanoia, where we completely turn around and have a conversion interiorly. And so, Sprouts, next week, we will be starting with the baptism of Jesus and diving headfirst into Jesus's entire public ministry. I am very, very excited. But for today, here is my challenge. I challenge you to 1 minute of silence. I know that doesn't sound like very much, but it might feel pretty long. 1 minute of silence. And I want you to really investigate the sins that are standing between you and Jesus, and to really pray that word, metanoia, conversion of my heart. What do I need to turn around? What do I need to let go of so that I can better follow Jesus? That's it for Catholic Sprouts today. We'll be back tomorrow, but until then, continue to grow in your faith and truly sprout into the beautiful creation that God created you to be. Just one more thing, we are running a really fun sale on our Rosary board books and our Saint patterns for cross-stitch and melty beads. The sale runs through the end of October, so I encourage you to check it out by checking the links in this podcast episode.